was just announced that USC and UCLA are leaving the Pac-12 conference. So
what?
Yeah, as a Pac-12 guy who covers a Pac-12 for a living, this has kind of got my brain going in a couple different directions.
Are you breaking news on our show?
No, it was tweeted out. John Warner tweeted out. It covers the Pac-12 conference.
Where are they?
The Big Ten.
What?
Yeah,
What?
I mean, I thought this might happen at some point. I just didn't realize now. And my day job is covering the Pac-12 conference. So this is, it's kind of changes my job.
I am stunned. Okay, first of all, to be super Mr. Old School, I miss when the college conferences had some kind of geographic sense to them.
Yeah, it stopped a couple of years ago when the ACC, when the Big East kind of broke up, and then some of the Big East teams went to the Big 12, and then some Rutgers went to the Big 10, and then it became a kind of a free for all. And so, but it's about money, right? And that's what this is about.
It's just
Rutgers USC rivalry. That is,
it's coming soon.
My kid's in the Rutgers band. He's going to be hopping on planes to go to USC to play in Pasadena. I guess that's fun for him. But
the Pac-8 has been around for so many years.
It's about to go back to that.
I mean, and it's not. I mean, I guess USC and UCLA are they the biggest? They're the biggest schools in the conference.
Is
UCLA
Oregon
really bigger than Oregon?
No, Oregon's ahead of UCLA. I mean, especially in football.
yes.
I mean, basketball. We've had the same amount of success the last 20 years.
Football's all that matters, or else
years.
there would be conferences that wanted Connecticut.
And that's why I think this is going to end up with Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten too, at some point.
So there'll be no more Pac-12.
No. Yeah.
No, at that point they might as well join the American or something.
Right.
And the Big Ten is just like a little mini NFL at this point, just a
Right.
nationwide. And then the SEC will be like, yeah, come at me, bro.
Correct.
So then all you just need is for a couple more teams to join the ACC, and you'll have 3 conferences, and that will be all.
Yes, basically.
Wow. Okay, that is some news.
Yes. Sorry.
Wow.
Well, thank you, Geoff Schwartz.
Thank you for letting us know, because I mean we're not really college football guys for the most part, but this is a tremendous news story.
Yep.
And I think I don't have my finger on the pulse, so you tell me. This is way more unexpected to me than Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12.
Well, I guess when it was discussed, there was always the idea of maybe a 16-team league. And then when Texas and Oklahoma went, it was like, okay, well, maybe we're accelerating this. I think we're going to end up with one just giant big conference or 2 big conferences. And it's almost not going to be conferences anymore. It's just going to be basically professional football leagues, but in college football. And that's, I think, what we're moving to, because it doesn't make sense really for USC soccer to go play Rutgers soccer on a Wednesday night. That makes no sense. But for football and basketball, they formed their own little thing away from the conferences, because NCAA has almost no control now, right? They've been void of control. And so now you make it to where that's some sort of system like that. I mean, it seems but I got to imagine if UCLA and USC are doing this, so is Oregon. Oregon's gone. Washington's going to leave. There'll be no more Pac-12.
You're right, though. There are a whole bunch of other sports. And at a certain point, I realize all the money is in football with a little bit of money in basketball. But at some point, the athletic directors are going to have to just completely make totally different leagues for the other sports. Because it makes no sense for USC volleyball to fly to Maryland.
Correct.
Right.
Yes. So so I think what ends up happening is, again, Washington, and Oregon and the Bay Area schools end up going, and then it's just the rest of them are left out, basically.
Yeah, I guess that leaves out the Arizona schools, Utah,
Colorado, Oregon State, and Washington State.
And they all fit into the West.
And the Utah will go to the Big 12, right? And Colorado go back to the Big 12. Yeah. Arizona's go to the Big 12. They'll just kind of go to the Big 12, basically. And there'll be 4 major conferences. The Pac-12 is done, essentially, which is wild because it's been a staple conference. I work on the Pac-12 radio station. I would no longer have
I don't know what's going to happen to the Pac-12 radio.
I guess that would be the conference reel. I guess that would be the conference
network that the TV network doesn't.
Well,
is nowhere near as successful.
No,
as
it's not. But it's not about really that. It's not about the network money. It's about what Fox and CBS and ESPN are giving you. And the Big Ten's doing a deal right now, supposedly that's $1 million. So it's just wild. And I'm talking to I'm going to Pac-12 Media Day in a month, and it's going to be Pac-12 Media Day is going to be fun.
I'm really, again, you and I are not college football guys, and we're very honest about that. But college football just needs somebody to set some rules. It is crazy. It is craziness. It is craziness, and it is. My first thought is it's craziness, but I see these. The second thought is, at what point do these conferences start shedding the weak teams? At what point can you not have a 20-team conference that has Indiana in it?
Right.
At what point do you have to shed your Kentucky and your Indiana where their strength is in the other sports? And then the other thing I feel is this is so not fair to the athletes who play other sports.
That's right.
This is so not the point of college athletics is for all the athletes. That's why we have Title IX. Okay. Yes. This is so unfair to every other sport, even basketball. It doesn't make sense for USC to be flying to Maryland twice a year or whatever. Yes, you play a couple of out of conference games, but it's the only sport that these conferences make sense in is football. At a certain point, they have got to separate football from the other sports.
That's it. Again, I'm coming at this now as a marching band parent. And it's I don't mind. It's one thing for CJ to get on a bus and go to Maryland, the bus, even to go to Iowa or something like that. When we're taking plane rides across the country to it's going to be an interruption of studies. And that's and again, for football players, it's a different category. It's a different expectation. I get that. But every other place along the line, it doesn't make sense from a travel scheduling and from a facilities usage and from anything and the expense of moving these teams around. I'm assuming, again, these conferences are going to look different for lacrosse.
Yeah, they've got to. At a certain point, they have got to separate because it doesn't make sense for these athletes to travel. And it does not make sense to have Indiana in the Big Ten anymore in football, or Kentucky or Vanderbilt for the SEC if they're going to be these super conferences. They're going to have these really weak teams.
And Patrick's talking about NIL. And NIL is only going to increase that dichotomy along the way.
NIL just makes this worse.
Yeah, Vanderbilt boosters aren't going to come in and pay these guys. These guys are going to get paid by the super teams. It's if you want to say there's a 12-team mega conference up there where all the teams with big NIL opportunities are, and then everybody else is playing college football, that's fine. Maybe it's not 12 teams, maybe it's 20 teams, maybe it's 32. But what is going on right now is this Frankenstein monster.
Gold Tau says if you're a hot women's lacrosse player, you're getting NIL money. I was going to say baseball players at Vanderbilt. I was going to say Vanderbilt's the only school where it's the baseball players, not the football players, who get the NIL money.
And a lot of people are going to get NIL money in terms of, you can get an endorsement here in the local Dodge dealership, the local pizza joint, whatever. We're talking about NIL money. And, that's in your own head there, Gold Tau.
I just don't think it's workable where you could have an 18-team college football conference. I just don't think it's workable. You're going to end up having to break into two sub-conferences. And
then the sub-conference is the conference. And then the game against the West, the Big Ten West is your one out of conference game.
Yeah, I'm floored by USC and Pac-12.
And Patrick, so the good teams will always be good, which I know what you're saying there. It's the good teams have always been good, et cetera, et cetera. But there's something about the travel schedule that makes sense.
I'm not complaining. This is not a complaint about competitiveness. I'm not complaining about competitiveness at all. College football's competitiveness, I don't think USC moving to the Big Ten changes who's going to win the national championship. I'm complaining about the other athletes and stuff like that.
And it's okay, Michigan has been going over and beating the nonsense out of Northwestern since time immemorial, et cetera. Right. But it's you get there on a bus, you go home the same night, et cetera, et cetera. Now it's we're going to be crossing time zones and things like that for some of these games of teams that are nominally in the same conference. It's not the NFL. Okay. It's not there's going to be a draft and the Jaguars are going to get a new guy or three guys. This is all still recruiting and things like that. And the disparity is just going to get more and more ridiculous.